木の葉と出会う中盤あたりにはそれも飽きて、美容のためと言って少女たちを殺し、血をすすり始めるようになる。シャノーが来た時、少女たちが失踪し始めてまだ半年と少しだと言っていた。ブラッディローサがアマリリス夫人で物語に登場した血をすする状態まで目覚めてないとしたら。
My friends, today we're talking about the dark history of the reincarnated villainess, and once again, I'm at a crossroads with the show, and I think it's not even just this show specifically. It's a lot of shows to where I just kind of feel like a lot of shows that kind of fit this descriptor of they're trying to be funny and they're trying to be comedic. And like in this case, right, this is the dark history of a villainess, right? And this follows the story of Iana and is trying to tell a like isekai story, right? So we have an isekai and it's trying to tell you something about how deranged this girl was when she created the story. She got stuck in her story. And it's very much centered around comedy and how much you find that funny. But where a lot of these shows kind of fall into this weird pit is when they begin to focus more on the story, which 9 out of 10 times isn't actually very good, as opposed to just having the story be a byproduct for it to be funny. And this episode, right, like they made it very clear that they are introducing a big bad. And the big bad of her story is the queen. The queen is abducting very pretty girls and her sister being on the chopping block. And she's making dolls. So it has like this, and don't get me wrong, there needs to be some semblance of story to kind of push the narrative forward. But really, when you have shows like this that really just nail the, like they could be doing anything, but they're nailing the comedy and it's making you laugh, you don't really need to go that deep on the stories and the twists and the turns and all this other stuff. It could just be her continuing just to try and live and survive and bobbing and weaving all of her death flags. That's really all it needs to do. But as this episode dives into it deeper into the conspiracies and the jail and the cops and the investigation and the detectives, it begins to just get muddied. And it's like none of it, this whole episode to me, once again, for another week, wasn't funny. Now, again, I acknowledge there were funny moments. And I always want to make it clear that funny moments or it clearly being comedic doesn't mean that we're laughing, if that makes sense, right? Like you can see something like they're trying to be funny and you may or may not be laughing at them or with them, but it doesn't always like get nailed, right? Like she's trying to sneak past the crowd and not get caught. And then she gets caught anyways. And then, you know, she's getting patted down by like the maids. That was a funny moment, but I didn't laugh. You know what I mean? So like it's funny, but it's not funny. She has another moment later on when I say her, Iana, whatever her name is. You know, she has another moment where she's looking at her sister and she's remembering this weird moment where she was watching a show with her friends and she got an idea to where like the king was gonna like do some stuff to her main character. She's like, I gotta write that in. Again, it's funny, like it's comedic, but it's not funny. At least, like, again, and I want to be clear, for me, it didn't make me laugh. And I have the sense of humor of like a 13-year-old boy. I laugh very, very easy. I'm an easy lay when it comes to laughing. And I didn't find it even funny. Then the episode ends off on her being like, oh, I'm gonna go save Manoa, which is the white hair. I think that's the white hair girl's name. Yeah, Manoa. So I'm gonna go save Manoa and any other victim. Okay, special victim unit, like Law and Order over here. Like, but I don't care about that. Like, I just need the show to be funny. And at times it is that. But it just wasn't. And because it begins to not be, at least for me, again, anytime that I'm speaking, you know, I'm not saying that my opinion, we should share the same opinion or mine is yours. I'm just saying these are just my feelings. And sometimes, you know, you're going to I'm gonna talk to somebody. I'm gonna talk to you, and you may be feeling the same way of like, man, I just wasted my time watching that. Like it was boring, and that's how I felt. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't laugh at all. So to me, it was a boring episode, and it's like being a tryhard. Like it's trying to be like this thing that it's not. A lot of other isekai and a lot of other fantasy shows fall in this pit too, to where it's like, oh, you're nailing one thing, but then they try to do too much, right? Like, oh, they're nailing a relationship. Oh, but now it's a harem. You know, like this one here, it's like, oh, she has love with her potential killer in Soul, but now it's a harem. It's like you're doing too much. You know what I mean? It's like just focus, like you're doing one thing well, just focus in and just hone in on that. But then they try to like spread their wings too far, and it falls apart, it doesn't work. So anyways, this episode was a 5 out of 10 for me. I thought it was fine. Like it was fine. It's not unwatchable, to be clear. I thought it was fine. The moments that it was trying to be funny, again, I recognize that it was trying to be funny. I just simply didn't laugh. I did like the beginning portion of it, which I think kind of saved the episode for me, when she like declared herself a friend of the white hair girl, and she kind of inserted herself into like that back to that villainous role, so she could be like her protector. In a certain way, I did find that enjoyable. And then I found her being saved by the white hair girl because Soul was like being very touchy-feely with her. And I was like, oh, that's funny. She's like, oh, how dare he? Let me get you out of the situation. So again, it has some good, but I still think it was like it would be like a 5.8 out of 10. But, you know, we don't do that point stuff here. So I'll just say it's a 5 out of 10. It was fine. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.